With spring around the corner, that means we're going to have our Colossus Barbell Spring Classic mock meet here on April 7th. So for those of you that don't know what it is a very relaxed mock powerlifting meet in order to test your squat, bench, and deadlift. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the event a little bit and explain some of the rules and ultimately why we're doing this event all together. So let's get to it. So the first thing I want to describe is, so we're going to have a top male and top female athlete for this meet. So there's no individual weight classes. We're simply going to weigh in the day of the meet and then use it in a calculation called dots with the number or total you have in the meet. So that way we spit out a raw score to determine who is the best male and best female athlete. So when you're doing the lifts, you're going to get 3 attempts. So we have a warm-up area where you can do as many sets, reps of how much weight you want off to the side, but once it comes to competition, we're going to give you 3 attempts. So we're allowing 45 people into this meet. Last year we had 30. So what we did was we split it up into flights of 10. So what that means is flight A has 10 assigned people. So we go from the lowest attempt all the way to the highest attempt within that flight for attempts 1, and then we go on to the second attempt for each athlete. So if you are the lightest attempt in that flight, you're going to go first. If you're the heaviest attempt within that flight, you're going to go second. And depending on what your second or third attempt is, that's going to rearrange how you are within those flights. But the thing is, everybody within that flight, lifters 1 through 10, is going to go through, and then we start the second attempt. So that could mean you have as much as 2 to 3 minutes of rest or up to 5 minutes of rest. So the idea is we're not going to time everybody lifting on the platform, but we're going to try to keep it at a steady pace where everybody gets in at a reasonable time. So once flight A is done, we move on to the second flight of lifters, which is flight B and C, and however many we have to do. So keeping it at 45 lifters, we're trying to keep it to 3 flights maximum. So that way we know we're not going to have any more than 15 per flight, but we could have as little as 8 to 10. So with all those attempts at each lift, so we'll do the squat first, then we'll move on to the bench press, then we'll move on to the deadlift. So as you can see, this can take quite a bit of time with all the different lifters. But again, we did this last year and it started at 8 a.m. and it finished at 2 p.m. So for those of you that have been to a regular meet, you'll know that sometimes you'll start at 8 a.m. and then you won't finish till about 6 or 7 p.m. So ours is quite a bit faster, and that's why we limit the amount of lifters we have. Now, when you're doing the competition, we're also very loose on what you wear. So if you want to just wear a t-shirt and a shorts, that's perfectly fine. But the things we are going to be strict about is the different type of equipment you're allowed to have. So you're allowed to have a lifting belt. You're allowed to have knee sleeves. We're not going to allow wraps, just knee sleeves. So something that's fairly loose and just gives a little bit of support and keeps your knees warm, but doesn't help you lift the weight. And then we're going to have wrist wraps. Okay, so what that does is it allows you to have some form of stability in your wrist while you're doing the movement. We are not going to allow straps, which gives you better grip on the bar while doing deadlifts. We are not going to allow different types of lifting equipment such as briefs, squat suits, or bench shirts or anything of that nature. So we're just trying to keep this as close to a raw meet as possible where you just have the belt, knee sleeves, and wrist wraps. And then my last point is why we're having the meet all together. So there's a few different things we're trying to accomplish with this meet. Is one, we're trying to get people that have wanted to try powerlifting, but were too intimidated by a normal meet to come into a very stress-free environment and very relaxed environment to allow you to try to do the best you can. Now, the other reason we're doing this meet is we're trying to raise money for what's called the Driven Foundation. So your entry fees, after they've paid out the top male and female athlete, we're donating the rest of it to the Driven Foundation. So that is a charitable organization here in Columbus, Ohio that provides for less fortunate people in need. So to give you an example, Roy was awesome enough to have me come over and volunteer for a drive they were having around I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, but they loaded my truck up with a bunch of household items and foods in order to provide for other families in need around Columbus. So me and my girlfriend went out and delivered some of these meals, and we were heartbroken to see some of these people were so, like little kids, were excited to get these meals. So it was awesome to see that a lot of the funding and donations we collected actually went to a great cause that was here in Columbus, Ohio, in our backyard. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or it helped you learn some of the rules that we're having for this mock meet. If you have any questions, please DM me or message me. My email is teddy.cox@agogeperformance.com. If you want to make any donations to the Driven Foundation, I'll put a link of that below in the description of this video. Again, I really want to push this event not only to help people kind of discover powerlifting, to push themselves and kind of learn more about themselves, but also to raise more money for this awesome charity that helps our community here in Columbus, Ohio. Thank you.